Dear children, once again welcome to our physics class. Hope you all are fine over there. Children, in the previous session we had discussed about vectors and some of the properties of vectors. Also we discussed about the graphical method of vector addition, that is triangle law and parallelogram law. Both are based on the graphical method of vector addition. Today let's discuss about the most important topic related to vectors, that is the resolution of vectors. And also, after vector resolution, let's study or let's talk about the analytical method of adding two vectors. So, it is very tedious to add vectors graphically. And when we add vectors in an analytical method, we can obtain more accurate values. Okay, so it's very important to study about the analytical method of vector addition. So let's get started with today's session, my dear children. Let's continue with our lesson, motion in a plane. So let's discuss about the properties of vector addition and null vector. You had already studied about vector addition in your previous session. We had discussed about the triangle law of vector addition and parallelogram law of vector addition. So today let's discuss about some of the properties of this vector addition. What is the first property? First property of vector addition is that it is commutative. So what do you mean by commutative property? You had already studied about commutative property in your mathematics portions. So consider two vectors A and B. Then vector A plus vector B will be equal to vector B plus vector A. So this is commutative property of vectors. Next, vector addition obeys associative property or associative law. So what do you mean by associative law? Associative. Consider three vectors A, B and C. Then we can write A plus B within bracket, A plus B within bracket plus C, another vector C is equal to A plus B plus C within bracket. Okay, so A plus B within bracket plus C is equal to A plus B plus C within bracket. So this property is known as associative property. Vector addition satisfies or obeys the associative law. Next, third property. What is the result of adding two equal and opposite vectors? Suppose we have a vector A and we have another vector minus A. So both are equal in magnitude because the magnitude of both the vectors is A, but direction is different. One vector is opposite to that of other. So what will be the result of adding these two vectors? So this is vector A plus minus of vector A. So it can be written as A plus into minus minus vector A. And vector A minus vector A will be equal to 0 vector. This 0 vector is known as our null vector. Okay, so this 0 vector is known as null vector. Since the magnitudes of two vectors are the same but the directions are opposite, the resultant vector has 0 magnitude and is represented by 0. So this 0 is known as null vector. So as indicated by its name, null, the magnitude of 0 vector will be 0. Magnitude will be 0 for a 0 vector. And it cannot specify any definite direction. No direction is specified by null vector. Magnitude of null vector will be 0. And also this null vector has certain properties. So let's discuss about the properties of null vector. See, if you multiply any vector with a null vector, you will get the same vector. That is A plus null vector 0 is equal to A itself. So this is the first property of null vector. Then if we multiply any scalar lambda is a scalar, let it be a scalar. So if we multiply any scalar with a null vector, you will get 0. And if you multiply any vector with the null vector, again you will get 0. Okay, so these are some of the properties of null vectors. And what is the physical meaning of a zero vector or null vector? Consider the particle is moving in a circular motion like this. Okay, so initial position of the particle is A, final position of the particle is also A. When the object has completed one circle or one round of this circle, the initial position of the object is A, final position is also A, right? So what will be the displacement vector here? You know that displacement vector is the difference between initial and the final position vector. So in this case, the initial and final position vectors are the same. So the displacement vectors will be, or the displacement vector is the difference between initial and final position, and it will be a zero vector. Okay. So since the initial and final positions coincide, the displacement is a null vector. Next, we can learn about resolution of vectors. It's very important, resolution of vectors, and it will be applicable for most of the derivations in your +2 course also. Okay, so listen carefully. How can you resolve a vectors? Before that, let me ask you one thing. What is the need to resolve a vectors? See, when two or more vectors act at the same point but in different directions, we need to add them. But addition of vectors is very tedious process. So if we resolve the vectors, addition of the vectors will be very easy, and you will understand more about all these concepts in your +2 physics, and also whenever you learn about this resolution of vectors, the concepts will be much more clear to you. Okay, so here consider a vector R. So this is the vector R, and this vector R is lying on the Cartesian plane xy. This vector has two components. This vector has two components. One is the horizontal component and other one is the vertical component. Okay, and this horizontal component lies along the x-axis. So this will be the horizontal component of vector R. Let it be RH, horizontal component, and the vertical component of the vector, see, the vertical component lies on the y-axis. So this is y-axis, and the vertical component of this vector R lies along y-axis. So we can denote that vertical component as RV, because it is the vertical component of the vector R, and the horizontal component lies along x-axis. RH represents the horizontal component. Now sometimes this horizontal component can also be represented by Rx, because it is along the x-axis, and this vertical component can also be represented by Ry, because it is lying along the y-axis. Okay, so resolution of vectors means resolving a vector along the two mutually perpendicular axes. Okay, so here the vector R has been resolved into two mutually perpendicular components, one along x-axis and another along y-axis. Now suppose vector R is situated like this. How will you resolve this vector R? Here also, this is one component and this is another component. So this will be the horizontal component and this will be the vertical component of vector R. Now suppose vector r is located like this. So how will you resolve this vector? Again, this will be one component of vector and this will be another component of vector. This will be horizontal and this will be the vertical component. Okay children, so whatever be the direction and position of the vector r, we can resolve that vector into two mutually perpendicular components. That is most important. The two components must be mutually perpendicular to each other. Whenever you look at the components, the angle between these two components will be always 90 degree. Okay, you must remember this concept. The two rectangular components of a vector must be mutually perpendicular to each other. Now here, this vector r has been resolved into two components, RH and RV. RH means horizontal component and RV means vertical component. Let this vector r makes an angle theta with the x-axis. So we can apply the trigonometric relation here. From this triangle, from this right angle triangle, this is a right angle triangle, right? Because in order to resolve a vector, what is the first thing? First we have to divide or find out the mutually perpendicular components of this vector r. So in order to find out the value of mutually perpendicular components, from the head of the vector, construct two normals. One towards the x-axis and another to the y-axis. So this is the head of the vector r, and from this head of the vector, one normal has been constructed to x-axis and another normal has been constructed towards y-axis. Okay, so this will be our x component or horizontal component of vector r, and this will be our vertical component of vector r. And we need to find out its value. For that, consider this right angle triangle. This is a right angle triangle because this will be 90 degrees since it is a normal. Now, from this right angle triangle, what is cos theta? Cos theta is adjacent side by hypotenuse. And what is adjacent side? Adjacent side, the side adjacent to theta, that is this side. And what is that side? That is RH. RH divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse, this is a hypotenuse and this is our vector r. So hypotenuse. And what will be RH? RH will be equal to r cos theta. Okay. So this is the value of horizontal component. Horizontal component of vector r will be equal to r cos theta. Vector into cos theta. Now, what will be sin theta? Sin theta is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. So from this figure, this is the opposite side and this side is parallel to this side, isn't it? So that means RV. So sin theta is opposite side RV divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the same, that is R. Therefore the vertical component RV is equal to R sin theta. Okay, so we have got the values for horizontal component and vertical component. So the component adjacent to theta is expressed in terms of cos theta and other component is expressed in terms of sin theta. So RH is R cos theta and RV is R sin theta. Now, it is convenient to resolve a general vector along the axis of a rectangular coordinate system using the vectors of unit magnitude. And these vectors are called unit vectors. Unit vectors. So, what do you mean by unit vector? A unit vector is a vector of unit magnitude and points in a particular direction. A unit vector is a vector of unit magnitude. So its magnitude will be, magnitude of that unit vector will be 1. And it always points to a particular direction. It has no dimension, it has no unit. It is used to specify only direction. Okay, if we consider the vector force, it has got a dimension, it has got a unit. Unit of force is Newton. Dimension is ml t raised to minus 2. If we consider a vector quantity like velocity, it has a unit. What is the unit? Meter per second. And what is the dimension? lt raised to minus 1. But when we consider the unit vectors don't have a dimension. It don't have any unit. It is just used to specify a direction. Okay, so there are certain unit vectors along x, y and z axis of a rectangular coordinate system. So if we consider this system, this is a rectangular coordinate system, and let it be our x axis, y axis and z axis. So what are the unit vectors along this x, y and z axis of a rectangular coordinate system? So the unit vector along x-axis is denoted by I cap. Unit vector is always denoted by a cap to distinguish them from other vectors. Usually the vector is represented like this with an arrow mark on the above that symbol. But a unit vector is represented like this. If it is a unit vector, then you must represent that vector with a cap about the symbol. Okay, that cap indicates that it is a unit vector and it is used only to specify a direction. It don't have any dimension or unit. So the unit vector along x-axis is I cap. The unit vector along y direction is j cap, and the unit vector along z direction will be k cap. So ijk are the unit vectors along the x, y and z axis of a rectangular coordinate system respectively. Okay, always remember this concept. The unit vector along x axis is I cap, unit vector along y axis is j cap and the unit vector along z axis is k cap. And what is the magnitude of this I cap, j cap and k cap? The magnitude of I, j and k will be equal to 1. And one more thing is there. These three unit vectors are always perpendicular to each other because these three vectors are acting along x, y and z axis. X, y and z axis will be always perpendicular to each other. So these three unit vectors I, j and k will be always perpendicular to each other. Here in this chapter, since we are dealing with motion in 2 dimensions, we require only 2 vectors. That means x and y, that is I and j vector. Okay, and also a vector A can be represented in terms of unit vector like this. Magnitude and its unit vector. Okay, so vector A can be represented as A into A cap, where A cap represents the unit vector acting along the direction of A. So, how will you find out A cap? A cap or unit vector is equal to A by vector A by its magnitude. Okay, so the unit vector is found out using this equation. Divide given vector by its magnitude. Okay, so how will you represent a vector B if the unit vector acting along vector B is small b cap? Then vector B can be represented as magnitude of B into its unit vector. Unit vector is b cap. Okay.